It's your regular weekly podcast, Knowledge Empowers. With you is me, Kat. 안녕하세요. Then we have Baruch.
Hello.
And we have Kolaj.
Dobré ráno. Good morning.
Oh, what's happening here? There is an energy. What's going on?
Just a bit.
Well, I have a horrible muscle pain because I started to implement more cardio in my trainings, and I think I overdid it yesterday. So my trapezies are hurting. Anywho.
When it hurts, it grows, right?
Yeah, and that's the problem. I don't want my trapeze to grow. I'm a girl. Especially, I've learned that there are cultures that find this particular part like super sexy, but it needs to be, and for those who are just listening, it's the neck connecting the shoulder, and they find it in girls like very sexy, and but it needs to be like lean, right? Now, if my trapeze start building out, well, there goes the sexiness. Bye bye. Say bye bye. Anyhow, in one of the videos, we talked about helplessness. And I don't know if Kolaj promised us, or he mentioned, now I really don't remember, a way. Is it like a way towards to get rid of the helplessness or to help us to move on? Like, how would you name it?
So it was more of a way how to involve these people, to get them a bit motivated and to get them out of the state from the learned helplessness, from the inadequacy, and to actually make them a bit of a performer there itself, so they get back the trust they've lost into the process, into the community, into the people, into the group. And there has been, I think, a lot of ways how to do that, and a lot of psychology behind it. So how to get this inadequacy done. And the most recent studies show that people want to be included and that people want to contribute. And one of the facts actually is hidden directly in our DNA as animals. When it comes to, and there was this experiment with rats, everything starts with rats or some birds or some with small animals for some reasons, you can't experiment with people directly. And there was this Glenn Jensen who studied this on 200 rats. And what he'd done with these rats is that he put them in a box and there was a small lever. And he learned these rats that when they push the lever, they will get food. After several times he done that with the rat, that, okay, here is the lever, here comes the food, and the rat learned that, he put the bowl with food directly next to him. So he had two options. The rat could either pull the lever to get the food or just get the food directly without any work necessary, any job to be done. What do you think the rat preferred?
No job.
No job.
Push the lever.
Push the lever. Okay, so we have two sides here. So when it comes to this, rats picked that they will rather pull the lever, do the work, than have the food for free. They just were getting the levers much more frequently. And this effect is actually observable with parrots, with dogs, with much more kinds of animals than you would expect. It's even called contra-freeloading, the theory that actually we want to do the job and we want to deserve the reward, we want to deserve the food, then just get it for free like that. Mm-hmm. But there is one animal which, when was tested, did not met the expectations. They preferred the free food instead of pulling the lever or doing something. Can you guess what animal was that?
Monkey.
Okay, Baruch?
Raven.
Raven, okay. Actually, those are our cats.
Makes sense.
So far, cats are the only animal which was observed that they prefer free food over doing something for the food. I can guess why. Yeah.
Question,
Mhm.
I'm not sure if you can answer, but is it because either dopamine or other good hormone produces in our body and we're actually thriving for that specific hormone? That's why we want to do it?
When I was reading the materials for this, there was no answer for that yet. Like, why exactly is that? They were just theories that it could be something we are doing with this, but there was no specific answer. Like, this is definitely it, and this is the reason. And so you see that. So rats are like that. Parrots are like that. So they prefer doing something for the work. That's why actually you need to give a parrot a toy with the food, because when they are bored, they actually get their feathers out. Or actually, this is also applied to humans, So we rather do something to deserve the reward, to deserve the salary or food or whatever. It's
So
interesting. Yeah.
should we, if, for example, if Kat is a manager and she would like to motivate her employees, should she make it clear in advance, like there is a reward if you do this, or should she just automatically like reward the employees that do the job well?
I would say it's not about the rewards, it's about the assumption. And this goes actually with Douglas McAdams or Adams McDouglas. I don't. No, it's McGregor. Sorry, McGregor. So totally different name. He created a theory of X and Y, which is about the assumptions. Theory X says that you, as a manager or as a leader, you should assume that your people don't want to work, and you need to really like sugar carrot stick. Carrot stick.
Like in front of you is a carrot, and you follow it.
Yeah. So that's like, you need to assume that they don't want to work, and you really need to like have these strong motivators there as rewards like that. On the other hand, theory Y says that people are inclined to work automatically and they want to do the best possible. And this is what the contra freeloading means for us. You, as a cat, as a manager, the rewards, of course, it needs to be there because we need to survive, we need money, blah, 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 blah. That's natural. But of course, you need to, the assumption there is that people want to work automatically because it's in our DNA. So that was that we innately want to work. The other thing, which was shown by Kurt Lewin, he's a psychologist, and he was working with people during Second World War. During Second World War, there was not enough nice meat like flanks and steaks, and scarcity everywhere. Who guess why? And there was this motion for women in households that you need to cook now family dinner from skewers, from insides, from leftovers, like that. We don't have nice meat, we don't have steak, but you can have liver and kidneys and stuff like that. And nobody was really into that. And the first attempt was to create recipes and give that to housewives, like, here is a recipe and cook by that. Results were not really satisfying because, somebody came with a recipe that from now on you need to cook this for your dinner, and you are a wife and a mother, and suddenly you can't give a steak to your child or to your father, to your husband. So you feel a bit disappointed, because of that. But what changed, and Kurt Lewin is now the father of the change management, he called these wives together, told them that this is the situation, that, well, we can't have steaks. Find a way what you're going to do. The end result was the same. The housewives came up with recipes, like how to cook from the liver and kidneys and stuff like that. But they came up with it and they designed the recipes. Suddenly, the adoption rate for cooking from such and satisfaction from this was much, much, much higher. So this was the first steps of co-creation, the first steps of how to involve people into decision-making, how this change management can work.
But does that mean that if they start doing, let's say, the PR, that they change the wording from let's say me, I'm telling you how to do it, that now the mothers, so like us, here are the recipes for people like us.
You can view it as a PR, but it's more than that, because before it was just a group of cooks or somebody, you know, from the branch,
Like professionals?
from the professionals, yeah, telling them how to do it. But now it was like we created that for ourselves. So there is a sense of ownership over it. And this was actually highlighted also by Michael Norton and Dan Ariely, yeah, and that's where it comes, the IKEA effect. And it's really called IKEA effect because of IKEA. So they noticed that when they finished IKEA furniture, they were a bit of a more proud on it than other furniture they had at house, you know, and watched it. Hey, here is my furniture, which I've built, and I'm even taking more care of it, you know, than the other furniture because I've built it. So that led them to a series of studies and experiments, and one of them was in building the origami. So they let students build origami of cranes and frogs, and they were checking out then whether they would buy it, and if so, for how much. They did it through auction style, so you need to auction your price, you bid as high as possible. So, and here comes the thing. There was a professionally built crane, and then there was your own built crane or frog, you know, in this case, from the paper based on tutorial. Which of these do you think was valued higher? The
Professional. I would buy professional.
You would build the professional, okay. Katka?
I don't know.
Okay.
As an artist, I would want to maybe support other artists.
Okay.
You mean like the people were offered to buy their own creations?
Well, that was the thing. Like, it was for both groups, for those who did not build a thing and for those who built that thing. So for the creator as well.
Okay.
So in general, when it comes to non-builder, the professional ones were
picked.
Well picked, yes, a bit more, but it was just a slight thing, if I remember. But when it comes to builders, they priced their own creation 5 times more than any other price for other, you know, creations. So mine, I would buy for 5 times the price than any other.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think because they experience the work behind it, they know what's the effort, and now they value it way more. Right? It's the same whenever I watch, let's say, vlogs on YouTube of any groups, and for me, it's not only what they are projecting to me, but because of me that I'm doing events, right? I know how much work is behind. Like 3 of us, we're lucky. Baruch is the one that editing, right? So I value is not only the end product that you are now watching a vlog or YouTube, but I know like preparing the content, what it is that you're gonna share. Then you need to prepare yourselves. Do you have enough words to talk about? Then you need the person who will edit it. Then you need it to publish it. So there's like, you know, the effort behind and you value. That's why I wouldn't go and just like start, let's say, hate comments. Because first I need to know what's behind. And once I know what is behind, then I can start commenting. Maybe here is my suggestions to get this better. That's the thing. Not just like.
That's why we like to talk about our kids and pets so much.
Because
there's a lot of effort behind it.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, look at my doggy, look at my kid, and I'm gonna talk about it for the next 30 minutes without a break, you know, and I'm gonna spam you with photos. Look, here is she smiling, here she's laughing, here is crying, you know. So
because it's my product.
Because it's sort of my product. Yep. And that's why, of course, why we don't like to listen as much to other people with other kids or pets. We prefer to talk about our products. And actually, there are a few companies which use that already. Like it's not nothing new. It's not brand new. And you probably heard of that because there are companies from US which created this dough where you need to add just 1 or 2 ingredients. You know, like add eggs and bake a cake, add the eggs and a milk and bake a cake. So this is exactly what was happening there. They created the whole dough and they noticed that when they were asking the housewives, they were not really that valued, these cakes, because as they said, there is a lack, they lack the emotional investment into the cake. So they said like, no, I didn't really bake that. But when there was 1 or 2 ingredients missing, suddenly this investment was just enough to say like, hey, it's my cake, you know, that's my, and they've added also the frosting. Like now I've created the whole thing by myself.
Smart.
Smart, yeah.
Is
But
it manipulation?
What you mean?
Like, if you take the dough and you're supposed to add only, let's say, 1 to 2 ingredients, yes, you suddenly own the ownership of it. But is it a little bit of a manipulation from that company that this is how we can raise up our selling point?
Could be, doesn't necessarily need to be. I've read that some of the companies don't do that because those eggs, when they are dried eggs, it doesn't taste that good. So these 2 ingredients influence the taste. So I think that there could be ingredients where companies want to invest into this, like not adding them, and you need to add them manually because the end result.
I think.
And okay, let's go back to the IKEA effect. Every one of us has at least 1 piece of furniture or something at home from IKEA.
My whole living room is IKEA. I was just looking like, what is not IKEA here? Like, oh, damn, even this glass. But
do you feel pride? Because for me, the way I look at IKEA, it's cheap.
Mm-hmm.
That's my effect. Like, if I want okay, let's say I need a cabinet with few drawers just to put my stuff in. Where do I go? IKEA. It's cheap. Yes, I build it myself, but it's cheap. I don't feel the pride.
So you have a cabinet like that at your home?
Yeah, right next to my table.
Okay. And have you built it? Have you built manually the cabinet?
Yeah.
Or was it so? And you don't see that you take a bit more care about it than any other furniture? No. Okay. I can say from...
Okay, fair enough. We have... so we have a bit different combination from you. Furniture we have in-house is built by my husband and my brother-in-law. Designed by them and then built by them. And it's not from IKEA, but I feel the pride that this is something my husband did, right? But if I do buy something from IKEA, whether it's just this table, and I don't feel pride. I don't know why. It's for me. It just means cheap.
For me, I have a desk for a computer that I have probably like 15 years. It looks awful by this time. It was cheap, and that's why I bought it at the beginning, like when I didn't have a lot of money. And I ended up with it again after like I moved abroad when I couldn't use it, right? But I was like, should I buy a new one? This one looks already awful. But I was like, nah, like this one's good. I built it myself. So.
So it's more like it's worse to give up on it because you know that the effort you put into it.
Yeah,
so it's still like
it's not that easy. Yeah. It's not like, oh my god, it's my prized possession, but it's like, oh come on, like I built it once, I can do it again. And
maybe I'm just different.
Maybe it could
Maybe
be.
I'm just too old. I don't know.
It could be. It could be. So, and getting back, so we've talked that, okay, work for us is natural, and we take pride in what we build by ourselves, what we invest into. And the third thing is that we really need this positive affirmation, I would say, this way.
But I think I'll jump in here. When you said a pride in what we did, every let's say once in a year, as I'm publishing my art on my web, and then I look like, okay, this is what I did this year. I don't know why, but sometimes I look at all my drawings and I just can't believe that I was the one that did it. It's such a strange effect in my head, but I just keep looking at it and like, how did I do this? You know, it's like, even though I spent like, 30 to 40 hours drawing it, I'm like, how did I do this? It's so strange. But I feel proud that I produced them, so created them.
And I remember that you had this gallery, once. How did
I still have over there.
Yeah, but you had it like a grand opening for.
Oh, you mean exhibition show?
Yeah, exhibition. Yeah. So how that has felt?
Well, you told me that, and we know each other for years, and you told me that was the first time that you observed me that I saw like 180 degrees different than you knew me for all these years, which I can't even explain. Like, I was looking at you like, what do you mean? But I felt genuinely happy from my bones, from my everything. And it wasn't about the art itself, but so Baruch was still in China, but she held a part of it because she was the designer of the invitation. So I invited on the art exhibition people that mean the most to me, people who are involved in art. And I also made sure that there is not one person that would not know at least one more. So people would not feel alone, right? And so I was surrounded with people I absolutely value, I love, right? And we spent together 3 hours on that show. And I just feel this genuine, absolute happiness. I've never felt like that before. It was just pure happiness. It was like suddenly you were surrounded by love or by, I can't even name that energy, but it was like, oh my God. And I remember these 3 hours, I had my mouth were from ear to ear and I couldn't even relax. It was the most phenomenal feeling I've ever felt.
And I'm now going to explain where this feeling may have come from a bit, hopefully. And it's from the appreciation, because you were recognized and everybody was there to give you the appreciation and support and everything like that. And there was the experiment Dan Ariely has done, again, connected to all the IKEA effect, because that's the topic we are talking about, right? And they've put people into a room and they gave them a piece of paper with text on it. So there were letters, and your role was to find two S next to each other. So if you found the two S's, you circle them and you get paid for this job. Like, okay, so I found all double S's and now I'm going to put it back and I'm going to get 55 cents or some value out of it. There were 3 groups of people. There were people who had signed the paper before finding the double S's. And when they were giving the paper back to the leader, to the observer checked the paper, scanned it briefly, really briefly, nodded, and put it aside. That was the first group. The second group of people were not that really good when dealt with, so they didn't sign their name on the paper. And when they were giving up the paper, like I found all the double S's, the person just took it away and put it aside.
Mm-hmm.
And the third group was that there was no name, no check, and the person who was there as the observer directly scarted the paper in front of them. So those were the three groups. And they were observing like, okay, so, and this observer, once it was scarted or once it was put away, he asked if the person wants to do another. And they were observing like, okay, so for the first one, you get 55 cents, for the other one, 50 cents, for the next one, 45 cents. And they were observing how far can you go before your motivations run out?
Or you slap the person in front of you.
Or you slapped it, yeah. So how many people do you think? And they were really now checking out how many people get to the 10th paper. So they received like 10 cents out of for finding the double S's. So how people from these three groups went to those 10 cents?
You mean like how they came to collect?
How many people from the group who was like from the group number one who needed to sign the paper and then give it, and they received check and note and put it aside. How many of these people did 10 pages like that?
I think all of them. 90%.
90%, okay.
Could be, yeah.
Then that's a pretty high expectations, only 50%, okay? But still, it's 50%. Half of those got to 10 cents. How many was it from the third group, those who were scarted? What's the percentage of how many people?
I really want to say 0, but maybe 1%.
Okay, 1%, Baruch?
I would say 20.
Okay, Baruch, you're really close. It's 17%. 17% got to that. They've got enough resilience and endurance for doing it. Well, but it's still 50% versus 17%. It's a huge difference. But now question is, what about the second group?
Oh, I would give up after the first sheet.
But the second group is about that you haven't signed the name, and the paper was just put aside.
Oh, okay. So in that case, I don't know. Still not much.
So it's
That's
not
10,
the first.
10%.
10%. So it's not the first. It's not the third group. Well, it's in between.
Well, maybe it's less actually than the last group. I would go 10%.
Okay. So interesting is that it was really close to those carded, 1% up. So 18% of people finished them. Even when it comes to how many papers they finished in general, in average, for the first group, it was 9 sheets. For the second group, it was 6.8, and the fourth was 6.3. So 6 sheets they were able to deliver, and then usually they gave up. And then this shows that that you've put the name above on the paper and you've got a slide note. And this small thing changed that you were much more eager to contribute again and more than not having those there, or when you saw that your work doesn't have a meaning and it was just directly discarded. So these are the 3 indicators I found that which can help you now, even you, Kat and Baruch, when you have someone who's passive or doesn't have a trust there, build it. You know that we know that the work is automatic for us, that we incline to work. We know that if we take pride if we create or co-create something. And we know that work needs to have a meaning for us. And we need to have this positive affirmation.
Does it mean like if we tell to a person like, if we use logic on that person, like if you do this, your skills will grow, for example. Do you think this is less, or maybe it's not effective at all?
Hold on. I'm really now thinking back when I had, let's say, low performers. Like, how did I communicate with them? I was now really thinking, let's go back a couple of years back. and honestly, the way I spoke to them was just honesty.
Mm-hmm.
It was like pure facts. I just said, look, this is how you're performing. If I would compare you with the team, this is where they do better. What it is that it making you either not work or lacking, or you tell me what it is. I want you to think about it, because I do want to help you. I do have numerous solutions I can propose, but I first need to understand what was the problem. You can trust me, you don't have to. If you do trust me, these might be the results we can see. Or if you don't trust and you will not speak up, you will not share with me, the result will be, let's say, firing or something, right? But I was really always honest. That honesty brought me to 90% success. Of course, there were people who I just couldn't move, and till today, I don't know what would work. But if it worked on 90%, I still use the honesty.
Cool. Honesty is a good thing because you build trust there, or by opening this. Baruch, when you said like if the pure logic and facts could go there, I would say no, because as we learned from the cakes, they were missing in emotional investment. So if you are not including them, if they don't feel emotional aspect out of it, they won't actually, logic won't change a thing.
So we should always combine it.
Definitely. I think that, and I observed it, I tried it, it worked fantastically with people who were sort of passive or not really active. How to get them to be more proactive, how to get them to be more performing, is to include them into decision making, include them into ideation, include them into doing the next steps. So like you call them all in the room, hey guys, this is the situation and we need to solve it. Give us ideas. They will be much more eager to propose a solution, to trust, to try it and to do it. And these go for companies. And I think Simon was writing about South American Airlines when suddenly they had troubles with cash, you know, like we don't have enough money to bill everyone. Like, okay, so how do we manage that? And the employees were finding out how to do that. I know about other example of other company, which Simon was saying mentioning in his book. And there was this like, okay, guys, we don't earn enough. What are we going to do? And the people automatically said, okay, so let's lower our salaries for everyone in the whole company. Let's lower it so that we can survive, rather than, or for example, I think that it was the situation in Maxman Consultants here in Slovakia. So not to just go outside, Corona hit, you know, and suddenly you don't have the income, and they were actually like put in front of the decision, like, okay, so how are we going to make it? And there were people who said that, okay, I'm leaving, I'm going to find a job somewhere else so that you guys can survive. So I'm sacrificing myself, my comfort, so that you as a group, or we as a group can survive.
It's interesting. It's like ultimate sacrifice.
Basically, yes. But these principles are everywhere. I mean, and the design thinking agile is built on this group decision making. Suddenly you don't have a manager, but you have the team deciding what we are going to build and what we are going to deliver in this scrum or in this sprint. So that's what the sense of ownership is about.
Because it's like you have a group of people, each is smart in a area, and if you ask them for help, that's why you hire those people, right? Because of their certain specific skills. It's the same three of us. Each of us has a different skill set, but together we're creating this knowledge and powers. So
there is one example.
Go ahead.
Yeah, there is one example I want to mention because I have it here on the paper and I forgot it. When we are talking about the IKEA effect specifically, there is a company here in Slovakia, I forgot the name, or it was Czech. When they were moving to new environment, to new building, they bought all the nails, wood, and everything needed, and they let their employees to construct their furniture, the tables, the shelves,
Oh my
everything by themselves. So can you imagine that you would go into your company and you would have all your furniture, which you can have there? You know, how eager are you to return to such office, you know, to go there? Exactly. You know,
First day when I need to construct it, probably not much. No,
I don't know. For
honestly,
me, it would be hard because I would be more of. So we know Baruch is more the creative person. So I would literally be looking at Baruch like, you be the creative, I'll construct it. You know?
actually, I like to construct furniture. I was just joking. I would enjoy that.
But I'm like zero creativity, so it would be more of Baruch, what do you think? I love it, I'll do it.
so, and that's how you get these people who are passive into the active mode, I would say. So how you build some motivation from inadequacy. If you have any other idea, if you have any other comment or proposal, please share it in a comment.
Or on LinkedIn.
And
that's all from our side. Sugahashismida.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Ďakujem. Hi, bye. Have a nice day.
This podcast represents our own opinions, experience, and our own ideas. We do not represent any official statement from our employers, and this is not their official channel representing the company.